If you're talking about rap and beef, to me, I'm the wrong person to talk to. I will murder you, your family, your child, your newborn. I don't give a fuck. I could never go to hell because I'm going to take over.
Yeah. Put my seatbelt on.
What's up, and welcome to the Fuck Generational Curses podcast, episode 1. On this day, I got to talk to the local spiritual plug, successful entrepreneur, poet, and artist, Miss Naya. While we was talking, we discussed the difference between how daughters are raised versus how sons are raised in our community and from our experience. This was a heavy-ass conversation, but I'm so glad I was able to have this conversation with such a dope-ass person. So you guys check it out and let me know what you think.
You excited for today's episode?
I am very excited because I feel like this, as always though, but I feel like this is something that needs to be talked about.
Honestly. And I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about relationships. Mm-hmm. They don't really get down to like the nitty gritty. They just so surface and they don't want to offend nobody. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if they really fuck with you and if you really want to improve your relationship, you have to communicate. You have to talk about it. Otherwise, it's literally just going to stay trash. It's going to stay bad, you know? So how is your relationship with your parents?
My relationship with my parents, I would say with my mother, is very forward thinking. Yeah. Because we communicate with each other, we hold each other accountable. You know, we know that we're not perfect, and we try to really, you know, get to the bottom of things. I will say, it's getting better and better as far as speeding things up and not being so, you know, enabling each other. Whereas with my dad, I feel like that relationship is it's very stagnant. But that's because when you're dealing with someone who refuses to see any wrong in what they do, then how can you move forward?
Yeah, because it's like kind of one-sided.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. What about you?
My relationship with my parents, so when I was younger, it wasn't that great. My mom was very, she was kind of controlling, but she was very strict. She was a very, very strict parent, and my mama was a Christian. Okay, let me throw that in there, because if you know about them strict Christian households, man, they don't fucking play. Yeah. And it was really difficult for me to really find myself, because I felt like I wasn't living a life of my own. I was living a life that my mom wanted me to live. And I was so soft-spoken, and I just really didn't bloom into the person that I am until really like a good year or two ago. And my dad wasn't really around when I was younger. That shit was really difficult, and it really, it kind of stunted a lot of my relationships. Like, I feel like I could have went deeper, and I could have allowed myself to be more vulnerable in certain situations had I had that guidance and that mentorship from a male, because I've never had a male figure in my life, like even to this day, you know. So that really affected me. That was difficult, because it's like, how do you transition into a young adult or a teen where you have male friends and you have guys that you like if you don't know what to do, you know, like you've never had nobody tell you, okay, well, you need to take this, you know, but don't take that, you know, like speaking life into you and feeding you with confidence and telling you that, you know, don't allow dudes to do this, don't allow dudes to talk to you this way. I never had that, so I used to really allow motherfuckers to just talk to me crazy, you know, so
wow. That's interesting, and it's interesting to me because, like, although I had a father, he was not in any way, shape, or form especially after a certain period of time, which is when my parents split, which was when I was about 6 or 7.
Same, yeah.
You know, he kind of checked out in that token, like as far as father. Yeah. You know, that's why I speak a lot about emotional incest, because fatherhood wasn't a thing. You know, I really felt like I was his partner.
Yeah.
You know, like we were a team, and he would always say that, like, okay, we gotta get this money.
Yeah,
We gotta pay
and it
these
shouldn't
bills.
even be like that.
Yeah.
He should be getting the money.
Exactly.
Bills,
I'm fucking
you know?
7 years old.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like dead ass. So I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Right.
At the time, and the crazy thing is with emotional incest, sometimes at first you feel like, oh, I'm big dog.
Yeah, because you got all this responsibility
Yeah.
now. Yeah, I'm an adult now.
Exactly. But you don't realize, you know, that you then are missing out on a large part of what helps you and molds you into, you know, how to protect yourself, how to have boundaries, and how to communicate.
And even being a kid, though, like, how can you be a kid thinking about getting fucking money?
Yes.
You know, you're supposed to be playing with Barbie dolls and running outside and shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I was always like, we were always on the go. Always like, okay, come on, we gotta do this. So everything was so fast, you know. And even to this day, like, I have to tell myself, like, slow down, relax. Like, you do not have to be in a rush anymore. Like, you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, we both got brothers. How was it for you, like, noticing the difference between, like, how you were interacted with and how they were interacted with?
It was very different because they were way more strict on me. Way more strict in a sense of, okay, well, don't wear that outfit, you know, or you can't hang out with these people, but then my brothers can hang out with anybody, you know, or it was just more, I felt like I was more restricted in every sense of the way, and my brothers were allowed to just literally just run fucking loose. And I don't know, it's wild to me because it's like, why? You know, like, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, they could get more girls pregnant, you know, they can still get in trouble, like, they can still get STDs, you know, like, they can still have a lot of the mistakes that I could have if I do some of the shit that they could do. So what the fuck is the difference? And that goes into a lot of the reason why a lot of men nowadays think that they better than women, and why, oh, you know how some men be like, oh, I can cheat on my girl, but if she touch another man, I'll never touch her. The fucking audacity that you would even think that you can do some foul ass shit to me, but then when I do it to you is different. It's because of how parents allow kids to be treated differently of, okay, I'm gonna treat my son better than my daughter. That don't work like that.
And whether they think it's better or not, I mean, it's so sick because it's like, it goes into misogyny. And it's like, okay, where you feel like, also, I feel like it's a power thing where, oh, even if my son do get somebody pregnant, and he ain't gotta walk around with a big belly and everybody see and everybody know my business, you know, it's
then you
really
be embarrassed and shit, because then you can be like, oh, that's not my son, that's not my son's baby, oh, she lying, you know. Yeah, so they have a way bigger accountability. Hell yeah. You know, and it's fucked up because also, what you don't realize, and what people don't realize is that, first of all, it's fact that women and females mature faster than males. It is less likely that if a female gets treated properly, that she will be out here just doing anything. You know, but with a guy, it's like, oh, they're so immature.
They're just gonna do it regardless, because if they can get it, then they gonna do it, you know?
They will literally do anything just to fucking do that shit.
And it causes so much, like you said, like, where men grow up and they feel like they're in a relationship and, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're a hoe. But if they do it, it's, I fucked up. You know?
Yes, like, men have sex with so many fucking women, and then when a woman have sex with a lot of men, oh, she a hoe, she a this, but you are too, though. Did you forget to look in the mirror? Because you a dirty ass nigga, you know? So what about you? How was it with you and your brothers?
Well, with my brother, it was, so, with me, I couldn't even really have a phone. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And also, I wasn't no texting no boys. I remember one time I actually got into a physical altercation with my father because I literally was trying to text my uncle, but I text like a boy or whatever, and it ended up being like this big thing where he was like, no, you're not texting no boys, you know. He felt so disrespected, and I felt so disgusted because I was like, okay, at the end of the day, you feel me? Like, I'm my own person, and I wasn't in elementary school. So I felt some type of way, and then he was also like, oh, well, you're not hugging no boys. Do not hug no boys. If I see you hugging any boy, it's going to be a problem. Where my brother, this dude had a phone for, however, and he don't get his phone taken that night like how I used to. You know what I'm saying? And
yes,
they don't go through his phone.
I forgot about that.
That shit was crazy.
Yo,
checking the phone and shit, checking it in, that phone in. That's what the fuck. Like it was so military almost. It felt like so. Yeah. And then the thing where like I had this thing where I would be on the phone. It's like do you remember like the house phones? Like you can kind of answer the phone, whatever. So it was that embarrassing thing of like, it was that embarrassing thing of like checking to make sure like who you on the phone with.
Yes.
Why in the middle of my conversation? But my brother didn't have to deal with none of that shit. So that was a little bit of mine.
Yeah, and then it's like the men grow up and they treat they women like they shit, like they just like, oh, I'm the shit. You're like, you should be honored to be in my presence. And it's like, I get it. You should think that you the shit. You should be confident in yourself, but you also don't feel like you can do anything that you want to do, but then they can't do anything that they want to do. It don't work like that. Yeah. And that's like the biggest imbalance in a lot of the stereotypical like relationships that we have nowadays, because it's like you gotta teach your kids how the fuck to teach other people. And the way that you parent your kids, they're gonna see that shit and that's gonna influence their lives. Like that's the most important part is their mom, their dad, how they interact with each other, and then how they interact with you. That's the most important thing that they see. They see that shit all the time, and so it's like you can't expect to, treat your son better than your daughter and then have your son grow up and just think that he's not better than women. He's going to think that shit because he was put on a pedestal. And that's not cool.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel that regardless, even if you got two girls and you treat one of them better than the other, I feel like your children, especially because they didn't ask to be here, I feel like they should be treated with respect equally. They should be treated like they are goddesses and they are the best thing walking, and they should be taught to like respect other people and to acknowledge other people's presence regardless of their gender. You get what I'm saying? So love is what I'm saying should be the most taught thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you teach love and compassion, like at the end of the day I can fuck up, but I had love and compassion. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing too, is like when you have strict parents and you have parents that treat your brothers and siblings better than they treat you, it's like when you fuck up and you can't go to your parents and you can't talk to them about it and you end up in even worse situations because you know that they're going to be like aggressive, they're going to be like, very judgmental. And it's like the thing that a lot of parents have to realize is that when the universe blessed you to have a baby, they didn't bless you to have that baby so that you can control their every being. It's so that you can help them grow to be the person that they're meant to be so that they can move on and do their life's purpose. It's not to control them. It's not like you don't own them, like even when they be like, oh, I brought you in this world, I can take you out, but like no.
But these be Christians, right? Thou shalt not kill, right? But I'm just saying,
but you trying to kill me,
that's murder.
Exactly. That's murder.
But and also the thing is too, where it's like, how the fuck you treated me like in a lot of cases you treated me like a child up until it was time for me to be an adult, and then you're like, okay, you're an adult, you gotta get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, and I feel like that's the case definitely with mothers and their daughters, and then with the sons, it's like, oh, this my baby. He said he want to get a place with me. Or
oh
he be chilling with me.
Oh,
it's like,
let me do his laundry.
Let
me fold his clothes for him.
Let me do the dishes.
Let me iron his shit. And and then when they get into relationships, then it's like us women, we feel like we gotta be their motherfucking mom because they mom didn't even set them up to have life skills. Why the fuck did this grown ass man not know how to iron his clothes? Why do he not know how to fold shit and do laundry? Like, cause I'd be damned if I ever get into a relationship with somebody and I feel like I gotta act like your mom.
Period.
That would never be a thing for me.
No. That's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Do you want to have sex too? Because
you have sex with your mom.
Exactly.
Because
so
if you get pussy from me, then I'm gonna need for you to switch up.
And it's a turn on for you to know how to do things. You know how to be a human being. Know how to survive. Like the fuck. Because that's just crazy to me. And what that tells me, because I'm a very like free spirit, so that what that tells me, if you can't do shit for yourself, I'm definitely gonna be paranoid when I leave for a couple months. I'm like, well, I know he can't do this shit by himself, so either it's about to be a motherfucking mess when I get back, or he gonna be fucking somebody else who can do it. You get what I'm saying? So like, it's so backwards.
Like a baby. It's like you have a kid at home and you just constantly thinking about your kid, like making sure that they good. It's really little ass boys and men bodies, and that's the reality of dating, and that's a big reason. That's a big thing why I don't date right now. It's because like I'm not trying to date no grown ass man and no little kid, like no little kid, no grown ass man body, like because a lot of these men are just. They're very immature. I agree. And I blame their parents.
I agree. It's really fucking irritating.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, like, damn, I want to beat your ass, but I really want to square up with your motherfucking mama. Why would she do this? You know what I'm saying? It's been times, okay? And then, also, I understand what you mean, because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, at what point can they hold themselves accountable? They can't, because you didn't even hold them accountable. Like, damn, I wish somebody would have told you gotta really tighten up around these parts, regardless, you know. Honestly. And I do appreciate that about my boyfriend that I have now. And the thing is, also, we started off as best friends. I think that really helped too. Yeah, I think that really helped. But he always says, like, I remember my daddy telling me, like, okay, you can't depend on a woman to do everything for you, because you ain't always gonna have a girlfriend. It ain't land like that. You know, you gotta be clean. You gotta be feeling good. You gotta be healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely think that it's a crippling thing on both parts, because like you said, now we have to pick up the slack. And also, now you don't know how to freaking survive. Like, literally. You know,
like, you need a woman to do everything for you. And they want to be treated like men, but do you act like one, though?
Exactly.
Like, you want me to submit and you want me to do this, but, like, are you going to be, like... Are you going to go after the shit that you need to go after?
And it's crazy that you say that, because I find myself feeling like that towards my parents. Like, you want me to respect you or bow down to everything that you say, but you act like a big kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? And in a lot of ways. So
that's a lot of people. A lot of people feel like they have to mother their mom, and they have to father their father, and it's like, how that makes sense?
How? And then if it's gotta be like that, my thing is, the thing that really hurts is like not getting the acknowledgement for stepping up. You get what I'm saying? For being that, like, okay, you really depended on me. I really helped you. And regardless if you can give me what I need, if you can at least acknowledge, you get what I'm saying, that I have gotten mature from this situation. I've learned things from this situation that it may have affected me in negative ways. You get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times we just need to be heard too. But even as an adult, you'll find yourself like, damn, like when do you acknowledge me, or do you always feel like I'm your enemy?
And that goes back to parents feeling like they can control their kids. Like, when they be like, oh, you a kid, you don't know nothing. Oh, you a kid, your opinion doesn't matter. And it's like, that's very crippling and damaging, because as we get older, we start to think that our opinion really don't mean shit. Like, I remember my dad came to see me when I was in Chicago. And I was really upset because I feel like he was on his phone the whole time. And my mom was like, okay, well, just send him an email. It's like back in the day when we were sending emails and shit. So I sent him an email. So I sent him an email. And I don't think he realized how serious I was, because parents just don't think that their kids can have serious conversations. And he like laughed at me. He like laughed at me. And that like really fucking hurt me. At that time, I was so fucking hurt. And I was like, damn, like I'm telling you how I feel about, you know, how you acted when we went on this like daddy-daughter date, and I never really see you. So it's like, for you to like laugh at me when I'm telling you I wish that you would like put your phone down and pay attention to me. That's kind of fucked up. But parents don't see their kid as somebody who has a intelligent standpoint, an intelligent voice. They're like, oh, well, you're a kid, so it doesn't really matter what you think. Like, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want.
I really sympathize with you, because I would go through the same thing. And my mom, she'll even say, like, you know, I remember since you were a little kid, my dad, even to this day, like, I'll go around him, he picking up his phone, he on the phone, he doing something, oh, I'm about to go, he can't never look me in the eye, like, we don't have eye contact. That's something that really made me like, okay, I don't want to be around you, because I feel like if I can't look you in the eyes, especially as my father, for 2 seconds, you know, without you feeling so uncomfortable, and you gotta you doing everything, you can't be around me, that makes me feel like, damn, like, you know, what is it about me that this man can't fucking stand? You know, I've always questioned myself, like, what did I do to make my dad feel like he just...
Like, it's your fault, but really, it's a problem that he has with himself, because that's a reflection of him. Everything around us is a reflection of ourselves.
Exactly. All. And then, like, even, like you said, saying my emotions and saying how I feel. it was laughed at, and it was like made a mock up, or girl, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about, or you just you being a spoiled brat, and I would be like, well, what the fuck is spoiled about like me wanting fucking emotional affection? Like,
and I think that kind of goes into understanding your child's love language, because we think of love language and how to love people, we think of partners and romantic, you know, but your love language can go into literally any single relationship that you have. And your love language is just you understanding how that person receives love and how they feel the most comfortable in love, you know. And so if you have a kid that likes to have quality time with their parents, but then you're always buying them gifts and you're never spending time with them, that's going to affect them, you know. And that's why there's a lot of damaged kids out there, because their parents don't know how to properly parent them, because they don't get to know their kids. They're just like, okay, well, I'm a mother. You do as I say. You stand over there. You be quiet. Don't make too much noise. Don't be running around too much. You know, it's just always like you're kind of doing something wrong, but it's like, but are you telling them what they're doing right? Are you actually talking to your kid and wanting to get to know them, like on a deep level, not just a surface level?
And like you said, talking to them. And I'm not talking about baby talk. Like, I mean, like, cause my god baby, when I'm with her, we talk. Like, I talk to her, and I feel like she know what the hell I'm saying. I be like, oh no, how you gonna want some grapes and I just gave you apples? And she's like, and then eat her apple. You know what I'm saying? So like, I really feel like, you know, and kids, they go off energy. Children, because they're very pure. You know what I'm saying? They only So I feel like it's very important to acknowledge that about them and let them know, like, your opinion matters, your voice matters. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's going to be abided by or not, it's something different, because that's just life. But it matters, and you should be able to voice your opinion so far as it's not disrespectful or hurtful to anybody else.
For sure. But parents get this from somewhere, and so now we got to talk about the stereotypes. That the media portrays, and how people say that you should parent your kids, because I feel like the government and the world has so much of a forceful opinion that I feel like a lot of people don't really do what they feel like is right anymore. They just do what they feel like the government says. They do what they see on TV. They're influenced by outside forces versus going intuitively and understanding, okay, well, this is right to me and this is wrong to me, so this is what I'm going to do, you know?
It's scary because the government is raising
the
kids.
Yeah.
Even, you think
the
about
it.
You send I was about to say, you send your kids off for 40 hours a week at least, you know? And
that's a goddamn job.
Like, the fuck? You know? So that shit, to me, that shit, wow. And I definitely, the thing with me is I want to homeschool my kids because, one, I don't want them to, I remember my mom even told me this story literally the other day, where I was talking to someone, and it was this lady who approached me. She was a surgeon, and she was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like 5 or whatever. And I was like, cheerleader. And she was like, no, you can't be a cheerleader. You need to say like a doctor or a lawyer or something. And my mom was like, no, like, she can be, first of all, she's 5. She needs to be thinking about the next 5 years, like, at a time. 2, if she want to be a cheerleader, she could be a cheerleader. Honestly. And kind of that's what I'm doing now, you know, being a meditation coach. I feel like a cheerleader, like a supporter. But
that's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's crazy how, like, kids go to school and that fucking box gets put over their head, like, okay, now you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, and then half the shit they teach us, you can't even really even fathom, and you get so stressed and overwhelmed, you just feel like, fuck it, like, I'm either do this or I'm gonna do that, you know. And where, when I was talking to my brother, and I was asking him, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he was like, I don't know. Maybe be an electrician, maybe be a personal trainer. And it was just beautiful to hear, like, something besides the generic, you know, even basketball player, rapper. Like, okay, that's fine, but just to hear things that are out of the box that really show who that person is dope.
I was just about to say that. And that surface level doctor, lawyer, veterinarian bullshit, it just goes to show that they don't really know themselves. Because when you go to college, like, you'll see so many people dropping out because they find themselves and they be like, okay, this is not what I want. You know, and it's like, if you allow your kid, or if you help your kid to actually get to know themselves when they're younger, you set them up for success, because it's like they're not out here wondering, who am I? Where do I belong? It's like, not saying that even if you do that they won't, feel that way, but it's like at least you did your part in helping them get to that way, because school is a bunch of bullshit. They teach you that fucking Christopher Columbus discovered America. What the fuck that motherfucker did not discover America? It's like you go there and you learn so much stupid shit, like even like trigonometry. Like I've never used that shit a day in my goddamn life. Like we need to be learning about how to have good credit. We need to be talking about just worldly shit, real world stuff, like how to actually survive in the real world, because it does not set you up for that.
Fucking bills, like cost of living and
honestly,
shit. Like,
this shit is expensive
for real.
And you gotta be smart to like balance all of that shit out. You have to know certain things, and it's like you can't expect for other people to teach your kid that. You have to take accountability.
And the thing, like, even with, so the student debt, like, that's dumb. But I was going to say, it's not that, it's not that, obviously, in some instances, doctors and veterinarians very beneficial.
Yeah, for
But it's
sure.
the simple fact of, like, a lot of people don't even know why they want to be a veterinarian.
Yeah, they just want to do it for the money.
And then, like, I guess, it'll be cool or whatever. Or my parents was a doctor. My parents was this. My parents want me to be that. Versus like, if I ask the kid, hey, do you want to be a veterinarian, or what do you want to be when you grow up, and they say, I want to be a veterinarian because I really like animals, and I really want to, I really want to save this stuff.
And that's a good answer. Yeah, for sure.
Versus like, I'm just a doctor, Like I could tell you at 5, I want to be a fucking cheerleader because I love people, and I'm a very, I could tell you that at fucking 5, but to have somebody be like, well, you want to have 4 kids and like, what the fuck are you doing that for? It's ways in which, especially as you grow up, if you think about 18 years, a long ass motherfucking time, 5 years, you could tell somebody this is not a profession today, and tomorrow somebody would be out there doing that shit. So I feel like it's important to feed that.
Like, think about that shit. 18 years is a long time. Yeah. 18 years is a very long time to be around your kid and not teach them anything that has to do with life. Yeah. Like, really think about this shit. Like, 18 fucking years, and you ain't teach me about credit. Damn. You ain't teach me about how to balance my money. You ain't teach me about the real motherfucking world. But you put me in sports, and you put me in all of this other shit. And I'm not saying that that's not, necessary. I mean, because if that's what the fuck you want to do, but it's like, okay, but what else other than this surface shit?
Relationships, dealing with all type of people, not just motherfucking boys.
Self-worth and confidence. Yeah.
Like, and and that's what I'm saying. I feel like parents teach us what they want us to know versus what we need to know, because in reality, I wasn't really giving a fuck about boys. I was really kind of like hurt a lot of the times by how my girlfriends was doing me sometimes, and the teachers. I felt like, hey,
though, when your parents tell you, don't be around boys, that shit makes you want to be around them even more. Well, my mama told me not to do it, so now I'm definitely about to do that shit. But why she don't want me to do it?
When my mama educated me about like her sexual experience and things like that, it really made me like feel, honestly, I felt mature. I felt like I already had sex for one. 2, I wasn't in a rush because I knew, you get what I'm saying, I was educated, and I was just like, I'm straight on that.
And to be completely honest, and this is dumb as shit, man, when I first had sex, I just wanted to fucking know what that shit felt like. That's the dumbest reason to have sex, and if y'all thinking about doing it for that reason, please don't. Like, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah, I'm not encouraging, but I definitely lost my virginity at like 16. And it was with somebody who I was with for a couple years, and regardless if it wasn't or not, I really felt comfortable with my decision because I was like, I wanted to do that shit. Ain't nobody pressuring me, you know what I'm saying? And I was very actually disappointed. I was like, what the fuck? This is what everybody talking about?
We're going to have to talk about that on another episode.
This ain't that. But,
man. No, I'm just saying, because that right there, like, I could go on.
Yeah.
I could really go on, man.
So I think in the way in which even that subject is handled, with mothers and daughters versus mothers and sons, and vice versa, with fathers and sons and fathers and daughters, the way in which sexual encounters are handled, it's like, you better not. But with boys, it's like, okay, you got your little girlfriend, what y'all
Oh, you had sex? Oh, okay, cool. That's what's up.
You better wrap it up,
right?
But
let me give you some condoms. But when it's the girl, oh my gosh, you like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You know, like, I can't believe you did that. Like,
yeah.
But he just had sex yesterday. You said you was giving him props,
bro. Literally.
What happened? Where my props at though?
Can I get some? No, for real. I love to see that. I love to see. I'm not gonna say I love to see that, but that would just be hilarious. You know, that would have been like, okay.
Oh, you got you some dick? Oh, okay. All right, I see you out here.
I will say, on my mama's side, there's majority females, and with them being females, you know, they would kind of not encourage it, but just make you feel like a woman. You know, they embrace the femininity.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say it. But they embrace that part of me where I felt good to be, you know, a woman too. I didn't feel like I sinned or I'm going to hell, because, you know, that's another thing with real judgmental households. Yes. But I really just felt like
I was ass in this ring.
Really? I went to a freaking a church sermon where they was giving them out.
They was giving them out the church? Oh, goddamn.
I didn't take one though. I was like, I don't know.
Girl, it's like, I'm saving myself. And it's funny because when I was younger, I was actually more sexually active, even though I didn't have sex until I was 19. I was still doing shit when I was younger. And when I got older, I really wasn't fucking around like that. Until I just wanted to do it. And then I did it, but it wasn't that big of a deal.
I feel like the most cases in which I've seen it, even in school, is where people who had super duper strict parents, like, you know, those were the people, and then
they lashed out.
Yeah, more. Those were the people that lashed out more. I mean, because my parents, like, it was because my father was so like, oh, you the head of the household, pretty much. He was going all the time, and then my mom, she was very, you know, like, lenient a little bit as far as like where I could go sometimes and stuff like that, but it was because I was educated by not only my mom, but my auntie and my older cousins, that I was like, I'm straight. You know, like, I don't need to. Like, I could invite a boy over, but I was also I'm such an introvert. I was like, bro, I'm enjoying this piece of quiet. Like, I ain't about to invite no nigga over here and be in my face.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was not an introvert, but I was always alone, and it made me so sad. Really? And then once I actually got comfortable with myself and I started to love myself, then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of dope though. Like, I'm kind of fired. Like, you know, it was like I wasn't looking for outside things because I was already so full within myself that it was like, I don't really need company. Yes. I don't need them to fill me up because I'm already full.
Period. Okay, and this little look, I'm like, okay, lockdown wasn't that bad to me, you know, because I was chilling. This is what I was coming up with my business, girl. I was doing learning. Yes, I was on it. So I mean, I just feel like, and that's why I teach meditation, because I just feel like the more that we can go within ourselves, it's so much, like so much that we could just be like, damn, I really am the shit, and it's okay for me to say that. And the less threatened we feel by other people, you get what I'm saying? We just feel like, okay, you and I'm me, and it is what it is, you know.
For sure,
definitely.
So, the last thing I think that we should talk about, or the last thing I can think of, if you can think of something else, is if they have these relationships with their parents and the dynamic is very off between, you know, like maybe they're treating the daughter better, you know, maybe they're treating the son better. How do you think that they could communicate that to their parents, or how do you think that they could move forward to have a healthier relationship?
I think the best way in communicating, really, in a lot of instances, but especially in this one, it would be speaking more so on how you were affected, you know, versus like how, you know, it's their fault or this and that. Like how, in which ways did these affect you? Do you feel, you know, a little bit more insecure, more timid? Do you feel like, you know, you deal with a lot of misogyny and stuff because of these things? You feel like you deal with a lot of verbal and nonverbal abuse, you know, because of certain things. I feel like it's important to talk about how you were affected. Yeah. And that way, especially, you know, if you're dealing with a parent who loves you and really expresses compassion, I think it's easy to express compassion for someone who's just letting you know, like, hey, you know, regardless of your intent, this had this effect on me, you know.
Yeah, communication, I feel like, is so important, but I also think it's important to know how to communicate in the correct way, because some parents be like, oh, oh, you saying something wrong with me? You know, like they don't know how to take that shit. And so it's about getting to know your parent and understanding how to approach them in a way that will be received in a better way. You and I also feel like maybe even like sending little articles or like videos, or even like if you know, you can even slide it in there. Maybe if they like walking by, you can cut some shit on, you know, like about you know, somebody giving advice on parenting. You know, if they cooking, go in the living room. You know, if they cooking, put the TV on. You know, play that shit, cut it up loud so she can hear it. You know, they can't escape that shit because they cooking. So it's just about getting to know yourself, getting to know your parents, and even, you know, talking to your parents and understanding why they are that way. Because some parents, if they don't understand why they're that way, they don't really see it. You know, like they have to, you got to kind of talk to them so that they can understand where they're wrong. You know, maybe be like, okay, well, how was your relationship with your mom? You know, how was your relationship with your dad? And, you know, me and my mom actually had a conversation, not necessarily like me bringing it up about her parenting, but she just randomly started talking to me about how it was for her when she was younger. And it really allowed me to see my mom in a different light. And I was like, oh, like, okay, so this is why you're like this. So when I do see my mom doing certain things, or if I hear her saying certain things to me, it's like that compassion is there because I understand, okay, well, that's how my grandma was. Or, you know, that's all that she knows. And she doesn't really see anything wrong with it because that's her familiar, you know, approach.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. I love that you said get to know your parents because they may not be able to receive, because that's one thing that has helped me break down walls and also get my own understanding. Because like you said, even as they're saying this, you know, as they're saying, oh yeah, my mom used to do, they may not realize like, oh shit. You know, they may not have an epiphany. Whereas you, from a different perception and perspective, you'll be able to say, oh, so that's why you do what you do. And now I can begin to say, hey, you know, when your parents did this to you, how did it make you feel? Okay, just so you know, and there are some ways in which you kind of mimic this behavior, and I have compassion for you because I understand it was done to you, but we need to break these generational curses and stop this.
And you can even make it a whole family therapy session where you heal together, because healing is hard. Like, it's really hard, especially if you've suffered some really deep emotional trauma. It can be really difficult, and when you have somebody that you feel like you can trust and you're in it together, it might not seem so intimidating, and you probably aren't going to be so closed in, but you'll probably embrace each other more and lean on each other more because you have that understanding and that compassion. And also remembering the love. You know, like you said, like love is so important. And if that love is there, like everything else is going to fall into place. And so it's like, even if you have those moments where you're uncomfortable, remembering that this unconditional love is there, it's going to allow you to just be more open and allow things to flow more. And so
I agree. Love wins.
All the time.
For sure.
All the time.
Love, compassion, and respect. Like, you cannot go wrong with that. You cannot go wrong with that.
For sure. So, you got anything else to add, girl?
No, I honestly feel like a fucking weight to
lifted off my chest. Our first therapy session. We done healed together.
Okay.
And this was dope. This was dope. I'm curious to know, for those of y'all who's listening, if y'all have anything to add, if y'all disagree, if y'all agree, let us know. Get in on this conversation. Keep the conversation going.
Yes. What are your thoughts? And you know, like, what are some experiences in which you've noticed, you know, that there is a disproportionate love within different genders, you know, and, even if you had a sister and you're a female and you notice your mom spent more attention and love on your sister, like, let us know.
And even if you've healed with your parents, you know, if you've overcome that, you know, what did you do and what was your process? I would love to know. We would love to know about that. We thank y'all for tuning in to our first episode. Okay, thank you for sticking with us.
Yes,
we appreciate y'all,
and we'll see y'all ninjas next time.
Yes, until next time. Peace out.